It's time for another weekly roundup where we get to hang out and I tell you what's been going on for me this week in my world of fragrance, which includes a trip to Grasse, the perfume capital of the world, and some absolutely stunning 10 out of 10 fragrances I've discovered. So stay tuned. I have just returned from the most amazing trip to Grasse in France, the perfume capital of the world. The brand Atelier des Ors flew me out there and gave me an amazing experience. I'm going to go into that just in a minute, but first let me tell you about some fragrances that I smelled at the airport, Gatwick Airport, as I was starting the trip. The first fragrance that I smelled, and I was so excited because I didn't know that this had yet been released in the UK, is the brand new Azzaro Forever Wanted Absolu. I loved the elixir. I thought it was a lovely designer interpretation of a raspberry and leather combo, but this one is a little bit different. It doesn't smell like that. It's boozy, a little bit smoky with some incense, some creamy vanilla. I sprayed this on the strip and I was instantly happy that this was a great smelling fragrance. I have done a little short video of that, so go and watch my shorts and you'll see some first impressions, some first reactions in the Gatwick duty free of me smelling some of these fragrances. I thought I was done with the new releases, but then I walked around the corner and saw the Acqua di Parma section and they had the brand new Colognes Il Profumo Millesimato, so I had a little sniff of that, and again, check out the reaction in the video. But this smelled as good and as classy as anything in the Acqua di Parma Cologne line. This one has a little bit of ylang ylang in the heart of it, so it creates this fuller, voluptuous profile to the Acqua di Parma Cologne DNA. And ylang ylang, because of the nature of that, I think it gives a fragrance a bit of strength, a bit of firepower, and I really enjoyed it. It smelled so good. And then on my way back to the UK, I saw Le Male in blue at the airport, so I had a sniff of that. I wasn't quite as wowed with that one as the others. It smelled similar to other things. I'm not quite sure it was doing anything that different, but it did smell good. A little bit metallic in the opening. In the dry down, the Jean-Paul Gaultier Le Male fragrance it reminded me most of was Le Male Le Parfum, which is a great scent. It did leave me thinking, if you have Le Male Le Parfum, do you need Le Male in blue unless you're a completist? But I haven't tested those two side by side, so I'm not sure how similar they are, but it definitely reminded me of it. But I liked it. So let's just get into the trip to Grasse because this was a phenomenal experience. The brand Atelier des Ors invited me out to Grasse, to their headquarters at their Villa Primrose. I flew out from London to Nice. A driver picked me up at Nice airport, took me to a very nice hotel, the Best Western in Grasse. And that was it for the night. I just had a nice sleep, woke up in the morning, went to the gym, had a leisurely breakfast because we weren't getting picked up till 11:15. As we got picked up, that's when I realised that there weren't actually that many of us. I think only 7 people had been picked to go on this trip, so it did feel quite special and privileged and honoured. So they whisked us off from the hotel to Villa Primrose, which is this stunning, gorgeous villa in the hills around Grasse. Owner of the brand, Jean-Philippe, was with us the whole time, so he talked to us a little bit about the inspiration for the brand, where it came from, about the brand's very important connection with gold, which is why there's so much gold around the presentation of the brand. And even inside the bottle, every Atelier des Ors bottle has gold flakes, which look absolutely stunning, but also how gold has acted as an inspiration for the creation of some of the fragrances. Then we were driven back to the hotel for a couple of hours of relaxation, so I decided to go for a run, and I'm so glad I did because it gave me an opportunity to see a little bit of the local area, a little bit of the countryside around Grasse. It was such a quick trip that if I hadn't have done this, I definitely would have seen less of the area of Grasse than I did. And you know what? Going for a run actually energized me and prepared me for the evening more than if I'd have just spent 2 hours sitting in the hotel room, because a run invigorates you, it gets the endorphins flowing, and then you come back and you have a shower, and I just felt alive and awake. So then I got ready for the evening and felt great. So we got driven back to Villa Primrose, had an amazing evening dinner, some great chat, some great conversation, not only about the brand, but the brand and Jean-Philippe were very interested to learn more about us, all the people that had been invited to go. The conversation did get quite deep, so I feel like we all bonded and made some really nice connections, which was something unexpected actually. I didn't expect to go on a trip and experience that. I think it's safe to say I made some really nice new friends on the trip. The next morning we got picked up and driven into the mountains to visit some mimosa plantations. This is because mimosa is quite a key ingredient in the newest Atelier des Ors fragrance, Nove Vanilla. It brings this slightly salty, mineralic quality to the scent, which is actually one of my favourite parts of the fragrance. So this mimosa plantation was stunning. It was right at the top of this mountain or big hill, I'm not sure which one it was, but the views out to the ocean were incredible. We could see the French Riviera, and then we looked the other way and we could see the snowy Southern Alps. So we had snowy mountains one way, beach the other way, and I'm on top of a mountain with incredible views. It was a real breathtaking experience, actually. Walking through these corridors of Mimosa, as you can see on this footage, was just so beautiful. This lovely dappled sunlight was coming through and illuminating the yellow Mimosa even more. It was just almost surreal and dreamlike. Really lovely experience. Let me tell you about some of the Atelier des Ors fragrances that I hadn't smelled that I got to discover on this trip. I smelled a lot of really nice fragrances here, but the ones that particularly stood out to me, that resonated with me the most, were Bois Sicur, which is a tobacco leaf peaty whiskey sort of fragrance. Very strong, very statement making, but I loved that one. I also love Cacao Kimia, which is a chocolatey fragrance, and then Kawa Kada, which is a coffee fragrance. Both beautiful in their own right, but I thought, hang on a minute, chocolate and coffee, let's make a mocha fragrance. So I layered the two and it worked. I'm not sure if the perfumer would agree with me about layering them. I'm not sure if the intention in creating them was to do that, but coffee, chocolate, they're notes that go well together, and it was working for me. So I created a new mocha fragrance. But the one that blew me away the most is called Crépuscule des Âmes, which actually translates to Twilight of the Souls. What an amazing name for a fragrance. This one has sage, pimento, incense, hyrax. It's got a bit of an old school barbershop type of smell, but then also a modern bright radiance to it. This was just an incredible fragrance. Really classy, really head turning. I think discovering this fragrance alone made this trip all worthwhile. So that's just a few highlights of the trip to Grasse I wanted to tell you about. I am just currently editing a vlog of the entire trip. That's going to drop soon after this video, so keep a lookout for that one if you want to come with me on the trip to Grasse and experience it. From Grasse, I flew back into London to attend an event with Ormonde Jayne. I did mention this in last week's video. This was an event at the Royal Academy of Arts where I was learning to do a self-portrait of myself. Let's just get rid of this big bag because it's shadowing me. We're going to do the big reveal of the self-portrait, but also in the bag I have the fragrances that were the reason for the event. We're going to unbox those together in just a second, but if you want the reveal of the portraits, let me show you what I came up with. And I was pretty pleased with this because I'm not the best at art, I'm not the best drawer, and I didn't hold out much hope for myself, but this is what I came up with. Did I capture my likeness? This was taken from a photograph. I'll put this up on screen next to the photograph so that you can compare the two. There was a little bit of tracing going on. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to hide that fact.
Do I look like I know what I'm doing?
Yeah, you do.
I'm tracing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at tracing.
And then we transferred the pencil marks from that tracing onto this background that had been pre-made. We just had to choose a background that we thought worked with the feeling we wanted to create with the self-portrait. But then that's where we were able to add our artistic flourishes to make it a little more abstract. I am privileged to go on a trip to Grasse and then come back to do a self-portrait class at the Royal Academy of Arts. Look at me. Let's unbox the fragrances as I tell you a little bit about them. These are the reimagined collection, which I believe are the first 3 chapters of the 4 corners of the earth, but reimagined. They're at a stronger, I think 30% concentration. I'm not too sure if the scent profile has changed at all or if it's just a higher concentration. Haven't smelled the others, but I did smell these. These are strong. I was given all 3 fragrances, a full bottle of Bijou Saffron and then 10ml travel sprayers of the other 2, which are Patchouli d'Atlas and Oud Liaisons. I was rushing for my train, but I did briefly get to smell all the 3 fragrances after the event, and I couldn't decide which one I liked the best. I sprayed one and it smelled fantastic to me. I sprayed the other and I thought, oh, maybe this is the one that I like, and then I sprayed the third. And then I thought maybe this is my favourite, and then I came to the conclusion that I couldn't pick between them. I really actually enjoyed all of them. All three are stunning. The main notes of Bijou Saffron are saffron, pear, vanilla, and leather. This is quite a sweet, fruity fragrance, but there is so much depth. It's a real luxurious, opulent sort of smell. It's beautiful. Patchouli d'Atlas is pink pepper, saffron, cedarwood, cashmere, and patchouli. Oud Liaisons is rose, licorice, pink pepper, lemon, oud, and suede. Really good fun event, and the opportunity to discover these fragrances. It's always a bonus when you go to an event and the fragrances actually smell amazing. So if you get the opportunity, go into the Ormonde Jayne boutique, wherever you can smell Ormonde Jayne, and really do smell these three new fragrances because they're stunners. And then just quickly before I get to your questions, I'll let you know that Chloe sent me 4 of their new fragrances. These are the Atelier des Fleurs collection. We have Sous le Pain, Plage du Figure, Sable Lavande, and Vert Soleil. I believe these are fragrances all inspired by the Mediterranean, so they're going to smell quite citrusy, fresh, summery. I believe that they are unisex fragrances, but I haven't smelled these yet. I will be doing so in a short video, so if you want to see my reactions to these fragrances, do follow me on Instagram, fragmental.uk, TikTok, also the same name, and I'll let you know what I think of these fragrances and if I think they're masculine enough for me to wear. Last week I asked you to send in some questions that I would answer in this video, and some of you very kindly did so let's answer a few questions. The first one is from Gert de Mul. He says, Chris, have you ever smelled 9 PM night out next to Naxos? I suggest you try that and tell us what you think. Hint, first smell night out and then Naxos. Well, let's do it. I've not tried them side by side. Let's spray night out first, as he suggests, and then Naxos. I didn't immediately think that night out smelled like Naxos, but let's do the side-by-side test and see what we think. So night out, it's sweet and fruity, a tropical fruity sweetness, very much a piercingly sweet night out sort of a fragrance. Naxos, honey, tobacco, bergamot and lavender. Really getting much similarity. I mean, there's a bit of sweetness in both, but 2 very different scent profiles, I would say. But perhaps everyone gets something slightly different depending on their skin. Zalkin says, have you tried anything from Vanitas Parfums? No. Buster Erickson, great handle, says, you may have already answered this before, but is there a specific scent that made you fall in love with fragrances? For me, it was Jazz Club. Probably 3, which I smelled around about the same time, if not on the same day. It was 2 from the Tom Ford Private Blend, which was Tuscan Leather and Oud Wood. And if any of you have watched this channel for a while, you will know that the other one is Roger Parfum's Enigma. It could have been just the time in my discovery of fragrances that I smelled this one, but it blew me away. Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male I wore as my signature scent for about a decade, but I think I was mainly wearing that because I knew it smelled good and I wanted to go out and smell good. But in terms of really dragging me down the rabbit hole of collecting fragrances, yeah, it was the 2 Tom Fords and the Roger. Not a question, but a comment on last week's video is from J Little 5769. He or she says, Wild Vetiver has rose, so I'm out. You see that a lot with rose. People are put off by it, but not all rose smells the same. If you don't like rose in one scent, then don't dismiss every other scent that has rose in. And I would say in particular, Wild Vetiver, the new one from Creed, didn't smell very rosy to me. It's these sparkling, refreshing citruses. So don't dismiss it because rose is in the notes, because sometimes it's just a supporting note and so much in the background that you can't even really smell it at all. Maybe it's just there to help bring out other facets of the other notes in the fragrance. So yeah, give it a sniff. The last question is from Red Machine Kieran. He says, are there any fragrances from your teenage years you miss? He says he loved the smell of the deodorant Lynx Oriental, which is Axe in the US. I do remember that one, actually. He found that Sauvage Elixir brought the memories of that deodorant back. But actually, funny you should mention Lynx or Axe, because for me, and as for many people, before I even started wearing fragrances, I was wearing deodorant, and I would say that it was Africa, the famous or infamous Lynx Africa. I haven't worn it in years because I just tend to wear fragrances really. I use a roll-on mineral rock deodorant, so I don't wear a scented deodorant. I just leave that up to my fragrance. But if anyone can recommend a fragrance that smells just like Lynx Africa, I'm in. Let me know in the comments. Well, that was fun. Let's do the same thing for next week's video. If you've got any questions, leave those for me down in the comments. And that brings this video to a close. It's been nice to hang out with you and tell you everything that I've been up to in the last week. Please give me a like because it lets me know that this is a format that I should keep on doing if you're watching and if you're liking it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and if you do all that, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.